Can I tell you something that I've carried with me every day since it happened? It's such a small memory, so simple that it could fit into a single sentence. But since that day, it's lived completely inside my chest and has never left me. My name is Michael, I'm 34, and this story begins on a warm summer evening in Maine, with golden sunlight streaming through the pine trees and the smell of barbecue filling our family's backyard. My brother Jake called me over to where he was standing by the old oak tree. He had that mischievous smile of his, the one that always made his eyes crinkle at the corners, the same smile I'd known all my life. "Hey, come here for a second," he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. "Let's take a picture together." I rolled my eyes but walked over anyway. He was always like this at family gatherings, sentimental in a way I never quite understood. I was more practical, always thinking about work waiting for me back home in Boston, emails I needed to send, deadlines looming on Monday. Jake threw his arm around my shoulder, the familiar weight of his embrace something I'd known since childhood. He held up his phone, angling it just right to catch the sunset behind us. His thumb hovered over the button, but he paused. "This might be our last picture together, you know," he said, his voice carrying an odd weight I didn't recognize at the time. I remember scoffing. "Don't be ridiculous," I replied, barely looking at him, my mind already drifting to the long drive home I had ahead of me later that night. The camera clicked. The moment froze. He looked at the photo and nodded, satisfied. "Not bad," he said, already sending it to me. My phone pinged with the notification, but I didn't bother checking it. If I had known what would happen, I would have studied that picture right then. I would have memorized every pixel, every shadow, the exact angle of his smile, the way the light caught in his hair. But I didn't. Instead, I patted his shoulder and walked away to grab another beer from the cooler. Mom was calling everyone to the table anyway, and the smell of her famous pulled pork sandwiches was too tempting to ignore. Jake followed more slowly, his eyes lingering on the trees, the sky, our dad manning the grill, our little nieces chasing each other through the grass. It was like he was taking mental pictures of everything. Dinner was loud and chaotic as always. Dad told his same old stories. Mom fussed about whether everyone had enough to eat, and the kids kept sneaking away from the table to play. Jake sat quietly, smiling more than talking. I remember checking my watch more than once, calculating how soon I could leave without seeming rude. There was that proposal I needed to finish for Monday, and traffic would be bad if I left too late. "You're leaving already?" Jake asked when he saw me gathering my things after helping clear the table. The sky was turning dark purple now, the first stars just becoming visible. "Yeah, got work to do tomorrow," I said, not mentioning it was Sunday and the work could wait. He nodded, understanding as always. "Drive safe then." He hugged me goodbye, and it lingered a moment longer than usual. I should have noticed that too, but I didn't. I was already thinking about the highway, the fastest route home, the podcast I would listen to during the drive. "Send me that picture when you get a chance," I said as an afterthought, already opening my car door. Jake smiled. "Already did, hours ago. Check your phone once in a while, would you?" Yeah, I replied with a dismissive wave. "See you next month at Mom's birthday." That was the last time I saw my brother alive. The next 3 days passed in a blur of meetings and deadlines. I kept meaning to call Jake back after seeing his missed call on Tuesday morning, but I figured it could wait. Whatever he wanted to talk about couldn't be that urgent. When the phone finally rang on Wednesday night, it wasn't Jake. It was my mother, her voice breaking in a way I'd never heard before. Jake had gone hiking in the White Mountains. A sudden storm, a flash flood. They found his backpack, but it took another day to find him. Everything after that comes back in fragments. The drive back to Maine that I barely remember. The faces of relatives I hadn't seen in years. My mother's hands clutching mine so tightly her knuckles turned white. My father aged a decade in a single week. And then, on the morning before the service, I finally remembered the picture. Frantically scrolling through my messages, I found it there, unopened, unacknowledged. Two brothers, arms around each other's shoulders, sunset painting the sky behind them in strokes of orange and pink. Jake smiling broadly at the camera. Me looking slightly away, my expression caught between a smile and impatience. This might be our last picture together. He knew something. He must have. Maybe not specifically what would happen, but something in him sensed it was time to capture that moment, to preserve it before it was gone forever. And I dismissed it, brushed it off like it was nothing. Now that picture is the most valuable thing I own. The frozen moment I return to every day, studying details I never noticed when there was still time. How much his eyes looked like our dad's. The small scar on his chin from when we fell out of a tree at 10 years old. The way his smile always tilted slightly higher on the left side. If I had known it was our last picture, I would have smiled properly. I would have looked straight into the camera. I would have pulled him closer. I would have made it count. But I didn't know. Or maybe I refused to know. And now this casual, imperfect moment is all that remains, capturing perfectly what I lost. Not just my brother, but the chance to be present when it mattered most. I keep the picture framed on my wall now, not hidden in a phone gallery buried under thousands of other images, but printed, framed, visible. A daily reminder of the words I should have heeded, the moment I should have treasured. This might be our last picture together. Yes, Jake, it was. 3 years have passed since I hung that framed photo on my wall. 3 years of mornings when I wake up and my eyes find it first thing. Jake's wide smile and my distracted gaze, frozen in time against that Maine sunset. It's become such a fixture in my life that visitors often ask about it. Is that your brother? You two look alike. I always smile and nod, but rarely tell the full story. How could I explain that this casual snapshot has become the cornerstone of my existence? That I've built a new life around the lesson it taught me? Every morning I look at it while I drink my coffee. Every night it's the last thing I see before turning off the lights. A silent witness to my daily ritual of remembrance and regret. Sometimes I talk to him, to the Jake in the photograph who is forever 32, forever smiling, forever caught in that golden hour light. I tell him about my day, my thoughts, the changes I've made. I ask him questions he can never answer. What were you going to tell me when you called that Tuesday morning? This question haunts me most of all. His final voicemail was brief. Hey Mike, call me when you get a chance. Nothing urgent. Just wanted to run something by you. Nothing urgent. That's what we always say, isn't it? When everything is actually urgent, when every moment together matters more than we know. I've learned to recognize the small moments now, the seemingly insignificant interactions that make up a life. The coffee with a friend, the extra 5 minutes on the phone with mom, the unexpected meeting with an old classmate on a street corner. Last Christmas, our first niece said her first word while I was playing with her on the floor of my parents' living room. 3 years ago, I might have been checking my email instead. I might have missed it. But I was there, fully there, when she looked at me with Jake's eyes and said up with complete conviction. My phone remains in my pocket at dinner tables now. I've learned to listen, really listen. When people talk, I notice things. The slight tremor in my father's hands that wasn't there before. The way my mother still sets a place for Jake at holiday gatherings before catching herself and quietly removing it when she thinks no one is watching. Work is still important, but it stays at work. I've turned down promotions that would have required more travel, more time away from the people who matter. My colleagues don't understand, but they don't need to. They haven't learned what I've learned. That there's always next time is the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves. The most painful moments come unexpectedly. When I catch myself reaching for my phone to text Jake about something only he would appreciate. A particular song on the radio. A movie reference nobody else would get. The 1,000 private jokes and shared memories that now have nowhere to go. In those moments I look at our picture. I study it for the 1,000th time, willing it to give up some new detail, some hidden meaning I haven't yet discovered. Sometimes, in the right light, at the right angle, I can almost convince myself that I see something in his expression. A knowledge, a prescience, a goodbye. But then the moment passes, and it's just my brother and me. One present and one absent, captured in pixels and light. I wonder if I'm romanticizing him in death, making him more perceptive, more aware than he actually was. Maybe his comment about it being our last picture was just a casual joke, not a premonition. Maybe the lingering hug was coincidence. Maybe I'm searching for meaning where there is only random tragedy. But I don't think so. Jake always had an awareness about him that I lacked. While I rushed through life with my eyes on the next milestone, he noticed the changing light, the shifting clouds, the way leaves fell. He cataloged moments while I stockpiled achievements. I wish I could tell him what I've learned, how I understand now what he was trying to show me all along, how I see the world differently through the lens of his absence. Last week I was at the same family home in Maine, sitting in the backyard under that same oak tree. The evening light was almost identical, that soft golden hour glow that photographers chase. I closed my eyes and could almost feel him sitting beside me. When I opened my eyes, I pulled out a small notebook I now carry everywhere. In it, I write letters to Jake, things I notice, thoughts I wish I could share with him, small moments that would have made him smile. I wrote, "Dear Jake, the light tonight is exactly like it was in our last picture. Mom made pulled pork again and Dad told the story about the fish that got away when we were kids. Your daughter is walking now. Did I tell you that? Emily named her Jacqueline, after you. Jackie, she has your eyes and your stubborn chin. I keep thinking about what you might have wanted to tell me in that voicemail. Was it about the baby? Did you know Emily was pregnant? Or was it about the hike you were planning? Were you inviting me along? I would have said yes now. I would have made the time. Every time I see our photo, I wish I could step into it and shake some sense into myself. Make myself look at you, really look, when you said those words. Make myself understand that ridiculous thoughts sometimes carry the weight of prophecy. I've learned to listen now. I've learned to see. I've learned to be present. I just wish the lesson hadn't cost so much. Sometimes I think you knew, not specifically what would happen, but that our time was running short, that the universe was calling you elsewhere, and you tried, in your gentle way, to prepare me. I'm sorry I wasn't ready to hear it. If we could have one more picture together, I'd look right at the camera. I'd smile with my whole heart. I'd make it count, but maybe that's not the point. Maybe the picture we have is exactly as it should be. Honest, imperfect, real. Me, still learning. You, already knowing. I miss you every day. Your brother, Michael. I closed the notebook and looked up at the darkening sky. For a brief moment, I felt a strange sense of peace wash over me. Not forgiveness. I'm not sure I'll ever fully forgive myself for my distraction during our final moments together, but acceptance, perhaps. An understanding that this is part of my story now. Learning to live with the weight of those casual words. Don't be ridiculous, I had said. But it wasn't ridiculous. It was the truest thing either of us had said that day. The picture remains in its frame on my wall. Our last moment, captured forever. Imperfect, incomplete, invaluable. A brother looking away, not knowing what he was about to lose. A brother looking directly at the camera, somehow already saying goodbye.